it really turned up loud. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, those who are joining us here are at home. This is our committee of the whole meeting. It starts at 6:30, Wednesday, November 12th. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dixon?
Here.
Commissioner Weeding?
Here.
Commissioner Walsh? Commissioner Michael? Mayor Lyons?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, just for everyone to know, Commissioner Walsh did contact me. He's got a family service to go to out of state, so he will not make this meeting today. And then Commissioner Michael is on his way. He'll be here in a minute now. He was at work. Something going on. All right. So I have an approval or a motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, October 24th, 2025. That would be our last committee of a whole meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I hope so.
Commissioner Dixon?
Yes.
Commissioner Weeding?
Yes.
Mayor Lyons?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so now our first discussion meeting for our committee of the whole is going to be our PUD ordinance. Brian, Steve, you're going to discuss what a PUD is to the community so they understand what that is. And
Yes, I'll start and Brian can fill in the blanks. So obviously we talked about this on several occasions. Our zoning code is outdated. And it takes to take a comprehensive approach to looking at our zoning code. In the meantime, most communities have a PUD requirement for projects that are under a certain acreage. Some go 5 acres, some go 1 acre. What I am used to is doing a planned unit development, which is the PUD, and it is for any property that is 1 acre or greater. And that's what we're proposing here. And Brian kind of explained the logistics of the PUD, but a planned unit development is, I kind of put it in a simplistic format, it is an opportunity to, if the developer wants variances, the developer says, hey, I want to do a 10-foot setback, but I'm going to increase my landscaping, or I want to do a bigger driveway, or I want to do a different style building, but we'll do this instead. Instead of listing all the variances and listing all of the things that they're not complying with, it's like a negotiation between the developer and the city to say there's give and take. And it gives us the ability to do that, and it allows us to say, okay, our zoning code says this, it might be outdated. In return, we want this updated the way it should be, and then in return, we'll give you a better setback variance or give you a better parking lot variance or something of that nature. So that's kind of how I see a PUD. It's negotiations, but because we have a lot of smaller projects here in Braidwood, I would recommend 1 acre versus the 5 acre threshold, because we have a lot of smaller, again, developments. And this PUD gives us the flexibility to get what we want on building facades, to get what we want on landscaping, to get what we want on driveways and so forth, driveway islands, these type of things. And again, we can negotiate back and forth with the developer on a give and take. Brian, that's kind of my non-legal term of this, but if you want to add to that.
No, I think that's a good way to describe it. It also increases, transparency to the public because it's taking projects that might otherwise be approved under restricted zoning and we just build when a permit applications are submitted and approved. Here, it would require them to go before planning and zoning for a public hearing. There'd be more, staff work on the front end of it, and then it would come before city council to approve the project. If it's an industrial project, for instance, in I-1, if everything is otherwise good to go, here, if they're more than an acre, they're gonna have to go through that more cumbersome process. But like Steve says, it allows the developer a lot more flexibility, but it also allows the city to impose regulations that otherwise are not in place because it's such an outdated code.
Give us an example of regulations you would like them to have in order to develop it.
I can, Well, I can come up with hypotheticals, but Wilmington has a hotel going in right now.
Okay.
And that hotel is permitted by zoning as it is. If, and some residents are.
Without a PUD.
Without a PUD.
Okay.
If they had an ordinance in place, which they're considering now, that would have required an acreage minimum to go through a PUD, then they would have to have that extra barrier between the permitted use under zoning and actually going to be able to build.
Understood.
So it's similar, they don't have that in place, so it doesn't apply to that project. But it would create that barrier to have some more say as city council members as to what actually gets built.
So using that example, so let's say there's a parking lot that's next to a residential area in this hypothetical hotel. And cars are going to be pulling out of the parking lot, and headlights are going to be shining directly into some people's houses. And there's nothing in the zoning code, in let's say Wilmington zoning code, that says we can do anything about that. It's straight zoning. Under the PUD, we can say, you know what, you have to build a 4-foot berm, you have to landscape it, you have to put a decorative fence in there to shield the headlights coming in and out of the parking lot. So that, well, it's not in your zoning code, too bad. It's in our PUD, we're requiring this under our PUD.
Understood.
And so it helps us, then in turn says, okay, if we do that, we only want a 20-foot setback from the road. I'm just being hypothetical, instead of 25 to make that work. And we'll say, okay, that makes sense. You do the berm, decorative fencing as we want, and we'll give you that 5-foot variance to setback from the road. And that's kind of the give and take that a PUD allows you to do.
Thank you.
You guys as council members have the ability to impose conditions right in your ordinance and your approval. So you might approve what they're looking for on all of these conditions.
Thank you. Again, this is discussions, committee of the whole. This is the opportunity for us to ask more questions or discuss this or talk about it. I think it's pretty clear, you know.
No, that makes sense.
And before it's ever approved, this would be an amendment to the zoning text. So it would have to be proposed to the planning commission, published notice would have to go out to the public, they would have to make a recommendation, and then it would come before you, so there's some process before us.
Understood.
All right. Any other questions?
And if there's any question, we'll put this on the agenda in 2 weeks. Unless you have any questions, planning and zoning, my bad.
Yeah.
So we'll be going to planning and zoning.
What's up, you on here?
Yeah, George isn't here.
George isn't here. Okay, that was discussion number 1. Discussion number 2 that we're going to talk about tonight is updating our city social media policy. So Brian, this something you're going to talk about?
Sure.
That mean you've had discussions, so I'll let you explain our new social media policy.
Yep, so the city's social media accounts, just along with any other governmental entities that have similar are regulated by the First Amendment speech protections, and by allowing for someone to post or provide comments, we are subject to those regulations. So without having a clear policy, we have no ability to regulate that speech whatsoever. So what we're proposing here are some policies that would apply to our Facebook page and any other social media accounts that we might, in the future have. It allows for content to be removed if it violates the policy, any recourse that a person might have, a retention period, and so on. But it's ultimately trying to keep people on task, about city business.
Civil.
Not, well,
Yeah.
some civility we can't help because they have that protection. But if they're talking about something completely out of left field, has nothing to do with city business, and they're being defamatory or something, we have some ability to pull it down. I think the idea is to never use this, but we wanted to put something in place so that in the event that something was getting completely out of hand, that we could take action.
No, I think we need one really bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the plan is we'll put that on the agenda to approve this ordinance.
That's what you want to do, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's necessary.
Can I ask a question regarding that?
We don't want to really kind of get into dialogue here. This is just a committee of the whole. It's for us to discuss these things, okay? Yeah, you can have public comment. All right, any comments, anything else? You guys have anything? Okay. That was discussion number 2. Discussion number 3 is the police and public works snow update. This is gonna be done by Chief Allen and Scott. So let's update everybody on our policy on snow.
So you can hear from here. Can you pick me up from here?
Well, Scotty wants to do 20 or whatever.
I don't want to, but I.
You are dressed up, you look good.
Moving all the way.
Yeah, here you go.
Josh had to set up our cover. Doesn't work. Thank you, Mayor. At a recent staff meeting, regarding parking, some tighter streets in town, how these tighter streets affect public works, branched into the conversation of parking during or after a snowfall. Steve asked Scott what the history is here, what the compliance has been like. We have an ordinance in the books that many communities that restricts street parking during or after a 2-inch or greater snowfall. So Scott, you want to share what you experienced in the past trying to clear the streets?
A lot of times, I mean, we're running 8.5, 9.5, 10-foot falls. We have a few subdivisions that are very tough getting into and are parked on both sides of the street. Even with your fall angle, you know, you can take a mirror out, no problem. We haven't had that happen, but it could. And then even after you plow, and then people are complaining because we plow their cars. If cars weren't on the street, we wouldn't plow them. So you either angle it one way and plow this guy in, or you go plow the other way and plow this guy in. So it's a chance we take going through, especially White House Cove. It's horrible.
So going into this winter, well, we were surprised a couple days ago last winter, kind of punched us all in the face. But going into the true winter season, police department's gonna work hand in hand with public works.
And have in the previous, you know, they're out at night, we're not, I'm home sleeping. So if we get the call, hey, streets are bad, get up. Get the call, start calling the guys while you're getting dressed, and you look out the window and go, oh, do I need the water department's help? Yep. So you're gonna start calling the water department, and we get everybody's control.
Yeah, and I think Eric, you're going with the compliance. You're gonna assist in the
Yes,
compliance.
yeah.
Clear the roads.
We're gonna try to keep ahead of public works, not gonna happen, they see streets as a priority, we're gonna try to get ahead and get streets cleared, try to get compliance. Parking a squad car, getting out, walking up, knocking on the door. If it's 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, I'm sorry, woke you up, you need to move your car. In the long run, if we don't get compliance, it costs the city, the residents more money to send these guys back a second and third time to plug the streets. So we're gonna get out, walk to the door, knock on the door, please move your car. You get compliance, boom, we're on the next house. There'll be occasions where they come across a Lighthouse Cove, for example, we haven't hit that street yet, they're gonna call us, hey, we need a car moved now, we'll redirect where they're at. We don't want them on the plows, we want them plowing, move out of the cars, walk up to the door, knock on the door, please move your car. On the occasion we don't make contact and the car is still there in the street, plus come back at least a second time, we're gonna issue compliance tickets, we can't get compliance. So I intend to, at the next city council meeting, propose to the city council a slight change in the ordinance, and I'll explain why. I think it's in the best interest of the city to make this slight change, the code to avoid subjective interpretations of depth or inconsistent measurements. I'll read you what the current ordinance states as it relates to parking during the street clearing after a snowfall. The current ordinance reads as such: it shall be unlawful to park any vehicle on any public street or portion of a public street when the snow accumulates to the depth of 2 inches or more in the immediate vicinity of such street, and parking shall remain unlawful until such snow is removed. I don't, if we can't get compliance, we're gonna try to get compliance, we just want cars moved. Just putting a ticket on there doesn't get the car out, like, we're still plowing around it. If we don't get compliance and the occasion to issue a ticket, I don't want to get into a situation where one is get a ruler out and throw it on the ground and say I got 1.9 inches because of blowing snow. So I recommend this change to the ordinance, which says it'll be unlawful to park any vehicle on this public street or portion of a public street when the snow accumulates to the depth of 2 inches or more in the immediate vicinity of such street. The city references and accepts snow accumulation depths as reported by the National Weather Service or another similar public snowfall reporting source. Public parking shall remain unlawful until such snow is removed. Just, we can reference this objective National Weather Service reporting service. They say Braidwood's got 2 inches of snowfall, it's enforceable.
Your first inch might have melted, or first 3/4 inch might have melted, hit the ground. So, you gotta watch it, and with these cars, if we're pushing real heavy snow, or even ice underneath of that, it could push that truck over. Plows they will slide in front if you hit a heavy spot, and that could push you right into the car.
And this is for the safety of not only the resident, but also our employees, right? Our employees driving the plow, we don't wanna put them in a harmful situation or damage private property, right? So this is a combination of both. Chief, just real quick, can you, let the residents know the call-out procedure, how that works, and how Australia Public works, and how Scotty, get moving with the snow command?
Yeah, anytime our officers recognize the unexpected snowfalls, these usually see it coming. Josh tells us 9 days ahead of time the snow's gonna approach. 10. It makes sure we're on it, we appreciate that. Sometimes it comes faster than these guys expected. I think on known snow age, we started a little earlier.
It depends, sometimes it depends on who's on call.
So we have their on-call phone number. Scotty and I talked Sunday afternoon about the upcoming snowstorm Monday morning. They have the on-call number, we have their on-call number. If we see the roads getting slick, we're making that phone call to these guys. Takes you,
Either call the on-call phone, or they call Westcom calls the phone.
I instructed the guys going forward to call the phone directly. Just that Westcom's a large communication center. I don't want unnecessary delays or them to forget to make the phone calls.
And they have.
Yeah, our first phone call going forward is going direct to these guys. They stand them up and then you go out and they're
Within 20, 30 minutes, we're at the shop. So there you go.
And how many plows, Scotty, do you usually, what's your snow command workforce typically?
Salt trucks, we have 5.
And 7 plows?
At least 7 plows. Yeah.
So we're well prepared for a snow event. So just let the residents know that we're prepared, we have a procedure in place, and we have excellent staff to make sure that that's carried out.
I think everybody knows that lives in this town, we clean the streets up pretty well.
Real well.
No, you guys do a great job. I guess one of my questions would be,
If the snow stops, we got cleaned up.
so like how far are you behind when you guys like will treat like sidewalks? I know this is kind of silly, but because I have a take-home squad car, and then I have a work car, another car. In order for us to get a lot of people in town to get the cars out the streets, they're gonna have to park in the driveway, they'll be blocking sidewalks. So that's something that will come up in the future. So obviously, once the plows are moved, put it back in the road. But there's, there are times I know when you guys come out, you guys will take care of some of the sidewalks on the
We
busier
do sidewalks, and Steve was very surprised that we do sidewalks.
Yeah.
Generally, if we do go out, we'll start at the grade school and work our way out.
And Mayor, glad you brought that up about parking over sidewalks. It is against ordinance to park over the sidewalk. However, in preparation for snowfall in the morning, if cars clear the street like they should, we're not gonna force sidewalk parking. The streets are cleared and the cars can put back in the street.
It's more important to have the streets clear than worry about the sidewalks.
Yeah,
At that particular
I just
time.
know somebody at home might ask about that, or
Correct.
hey, what about blocking the sidewalk?
Yeah.
And I know as a citizen, that would be my question too.
That's a good question.
All right, any other comments or questions from the board? All right, yeah, thank you for getting that information out. It's that time of year. Appreciate it.
Unfortunately,
I'm sorry, what?
unfortunately, it's that time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of snuck up on us. Okay, that was discussion.
Compared to east of us, they got close.
Yeah.
Well, that's how close snow.
That's crazy. So that was discussion and number 3 in our meeting. Well, discussion number 4 is, and this is something that Steve and I talked about, I'll let him get more in depth, but creation of an economic development committee.
So thank you, Mayor. Obviously, Braidwood has some very intriguing economic development going on right now. And we've talked to those leaders of these new businesses, the car dealerships, Mastodon, the bank that moved into town. And they really want to help out with respect to how is Braidwood going to grow? What are we going to do for the resident services, retail entities, others, medical places, things that Braidwood needs to have here as a commercial entity. And, one of the things that I'm used to is having this economic development committee. It's not a formal commission, it's a committee. And bring in business leaders who have, that are stakeholders within Braidwood, such as Ali DeRazio or the gentleman from the bank, and Mr. Bauer. These individuals who have a stake in our success. And they have contacts, they have people that they've dealt with, they have people that can maybe put us in touch with to say, hey, would you like to build a Taco Bell here, or those type of entities that we don't have. So what I am recommending to create a economic development committee and put together kind of a bylaws, so to speak, who should be added to the economic development committee, create a little logo. Any real successful economic development committee has a mantra, which is a logo, a saying. Sarah's great graphic artwork, put together endless opportunities, and we market that because Braidwood does have endless opportunities. And we have a blank canvas in a lot of areas, and we're able to paint that canvas and grow smart and grow with community needs. And we need help doing that. And the business leaders within our community can certainly help us move forward with that. I put together a mission, vision statement, purpose, goals, key functions and responsibilities, advocacy, advising, business retention, business attraction, help us with strategic planning, connecting with stakeholders, promoting local businesses, incentivizing growth, and technical assistance with web pages and blogs and those type of things. That is economic development today. It's a lot of the technology, it's a lot of the branding, it's a lot of the marketing. And they would certainly love to help us. Any questions, thoughts, comments?
I think it's a good idea. They're gonna have to help us.
And the thing is, like what we've talked about in the past, there's so much vacant land in Braidwood, so we want to be strategic in how that gets developed. I've used this term in the past, you get one bite of the apple. So everything is kind of coming our way. So we don't want to just take businesses just to take businesses. We want to take the businesses that's right for our community, and what's a right fit. And
We can be selective.
we can be selective.
We can be selective.
And so I think that's we'll put together again an economic committee and use those resources and connections, to get the right things that we want down in Braidwood. Anybody have any comments, questions about anything this morning?
If you have any business leaders that you know that think would be really well for this, let the mayor know. It'll be a mayor's appointment, but let him. The community is better than anybody, right? So if there's somebody that you think that can help us achieve the goals that we want to achieve, smart growth, selective growth, proper growth, we'd love to have them on the committee.
Okay, that'll be the end of discussion 4. So discussion number 5, tonight's committee of the whole will be formalizing a letter of credit. This is going to be a Brian Ski thing.
Now, I'll turn this over to Brian. We do have a letter of credit ordinance. It was not used very often, and we want to make sure that we utilize letter of credit, which is lack of a better term, an insurance policy for developer on public improvements. For an example, the council did a letter of credit with Mastodon. I think it was over $1 million because they're putting in water main and so forth. So if they don't do it properly, what's that? That was Razio, okay, so they did $1 million. But they don't do it properly. They don't do it to the specifications of our water department or our sewer department. We can then hold them accountable, and we have this letter of credit, the insurance policy that we could draw down on to make sure those things were done properly. And it's, you know, again, for simple terms, it is an insurance policy based on public improvements that we are requiring for a specific development. Brian, you can kind of jump into the legal stuff.
Yes, it's just ensuring that developers are completing the public improvements and doing it properly. There's so many instances where a developer could start it and they go bankrupt and they never finish
Yeah.
something, or they do them wrong. This will hold them accountable that if they don't, they've already provided us something that we can financially pull on so that we are not left, being, you know, without being reimbursed for completing something that they were required to do. I believe we've expanded it, if I'm not mistaken, it applied to all development, whereas right now it's tucked into the subdivision ordinance and only apply to a subdivision.
correct.
And now we're expanding it to be any type of development, so for like instance, Mastodon was not a subdivision, that was just a development on one piece of land, it would apply to them too.
And a perfect example is that secure truck lines, that it's been in my reports, that they opened, they put a berm over IDOT right away, they didn't hook up the water or sewer lines as they said they would to the council. If there was a letter of credit established for that project, because it's public improvements, we would now say, hey, you didn't do this, we could pull down on that letter of credit and install the things that they didn't do. So there's no letter of credit for them, we're working through a lot of issues, but that is kind of an example of how a letter of credit would work in a current development that is out there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a great idea. Questions, comments? This is our opportunity to talk about this. I think it's beneficial for the city of Braidwood. I mean, there was a subdivision years ago that went up, belly up, and the roads didn't get finished. And that, under those circumstances, we would have been able to come in and finish those projects. We could draw from that. So yeah, no, that's a great idea for the city of Braidwood. All right, that was number 6 discussion item. We have 3 more. Discussion number 6 is the hiring process. Steve, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so I worked with Brian on this, and of course he went all over my proposal, but what this is, in most organizations have this, right? If you're a business, there's an application process you go through, there's an interview process, there's an onboarding process, right? That's just a standard operating procedure for businesses. And what I did was is put together a policy or a recommended policy that said, hey, we should follow these or encourage. It's commissioner form of government, we can't make you do this, this type of format. However, it's very encouraged that we follow this process so that not only we get the best applicant and we hire the best person for the job, but secondly, we're complying with federal and state laws when hiring individuals. Right? There's equal employment language, we have to make sure that's on applications. And right now, we're not doing that for the most part. So we want to make sure that we're complying with state and federal equal opportunity laws. We want to make sure there's a fair and transparent way that we are hiring individuals, so nobody can come back and say, wait a minute here, why was this person hired? There was no process. And so very encouraged to follow this process. And basically, it's the same process that we use to hire the fire chief. We kind of took that process and put this into policy. So we'll just go, I say fire.
Yeah.
Police chief. Police chief. Fire.
It's been a long day here.
Yeah. We'll call Chief Jude, right? The police chief. And so, we have, you know, we asked for applications. And we put in ways here, how do you ask for applications? Newspaper, trade magazines, the Illinois Municipal League, whatever. So there's ways to ask for applications to get quality candidates. And we do that, go through the applications, it talks about how we authorize it, go through the budget process to make sure we have dollars for the police chief. We go through that, get a committee to do the interviews. We make sure all the legal mumbo jumbo is on there for equal, that's a legal term, mumbo jumbo. You know, equal employment opportunity, fair, equitable hiring process, blah, blah, blah. And we just kind of do a step-by-step process of how we hire things. We kind of use the chief's process to move forward. And I think we used to work with a clerk with one of Liz's, I think the water clerk.
Yep.
That we hired. So, again, it's encouraged. However, some of the things that are kind of like non-negotiable is the onboarding process. I think we should create a policy where we need to do drug testing and we need to do physicals, especially for jobs that require it. I think that should be mandatory regardless of who hires the individual. And that onboarding process should be consistent and fair throughout the entire hiring process. This is just a proposal. Please, especially Warren and Dale and Bruce and Liz, give me your feedback and how you think if this is fair, if this is meets your vision, we can make any changes that you would recommend.
I don't have a problem with it. It's the process that I used to get the new water clerk.
Yeah, same here. I think it's 100% way to go.
I'd say with police officers,
Yeah.
there's a process.
I do the same thing in my company.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is no different than hiring a mechanic or hiring a public works employee, right? Or hiring a accountant for, Joe's accounting firm. Same process.
I would think, this is just us talking about this too, you would think the unions would want this, because if you do hire somebody who may have a pre-existing injury, then they could go out of disability, and then the unions who would be responsible for paying that disability also. So it's something, especially with a full physical, to make sure they're capable of doing the job that we're requesting them to do.
And our union contracts do not prohibit that.
Yeah.
So, especially with drug testing, I know that there's accidents or something, we can require some drug testing, I believe. But there's nothing that prohibits during the hiring process and there should be background checks. There should be a mandatory background check to make sure that we're not hiring somebody that may or may not have a skeleton in the closet, so to speak. So I think it should be mandatory background checks on anybody we hire. And again, regardless of who does the hiring, who does the
Just
the process.
we have a standard process.
I think those should be implemented no matter what. Those three things: background check, physical, and drug testing.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
That was discussion 6. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, number 7, inducement resolution. Brian, this is you.
So this is related to the data center TIF. If people are not familiar with TIFs or TIF 101, it's a tax increment financing redevelopment plan, where we would select properties and if they qualify to be in the TIF, then they are in this bubble where all the tax is frozen. We'll say the real estate taxes is $100 at the time that we create the TIF. As the TIF develops, the properties will increase in property and real estate value, so that real estate tax will go up, and we'll say now it becomes $200 on a piece of property. That extra $100 becomes TIF money that comes to the city directly instead of all the other taxing bodies, and then the city can do things to help develop the property or reimburse the city for TIF-related reimbursements. So along with those reimbursements are administrating the TIF, setting up the TIF, or development related to certain projects. This specifically is an inducement resolution where we are saying the city is considering creating a TIF for the data center. We don't even know if it's going to qualify yet, but we're trying to put this in place so that in the event that the data center does become a TIF, and anything that we spend from the moment that we adopt the inducement resolution going forward can be reimbursed through the TIF.
It doesn't mean the data center is coming. It doesn't mean that you're approving the data center. All this is a kind of a belt and suspenders first step to, if the council does decide to do a TIF for, and if the council does decide to do a data center, then anything spent from tomorrow on, as Brian said, can be reimbursed back to the city, lawyers, TIF consultants, whatever, through the TIF, back to our general fund. Right. I probably repeated what you just said.
And one really big idea, the TIF consultants, just to determine the eligibility is a pretty expensive process. So to have the ability to have that reimbursed through TIF is highly advantageous instead of just general tax dollars. It will come directly from those portions of property that are affected.
That's good. I've seen their hourly rate. Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have done this this old.
Not too late.
Okay. Number 8, last letter of credit for Bauer.
Yep, so we previously had a letter of credit that we approved for that development. And I think there was confusion on my behalf as to what these entities were relative to, because they're not explicit. But we previously approved Dora LLC's letter of credit that was related to their development of a Ford dealership. Here we have before us a letter of credit for Dennis Bauer, that's for the Bauer Chevy GMC dealership. So all this is doing is, like we talked about before, letters of credit, getting it on file that for the public improvements that they're responsible for are going to get completed. And if they don't get completed, or they don't get completed correctly, then we have a letter of credit that we can use money from to make sure that they do get done.
All right.
And this is both Bauer and Durazio's, and for the most part Mastodon's, are in the same form that we are proposing to adopt in the letter of credit ordinance. So everyone's been willing to comply so far.
Any comments from the board on the letter of credit? Brady, I mean, we should revisit anything in this discussion item. This is our opportunity. This is what we did, because we can never be in the same room together. So this is our opportunity to talk about things.
The question that I was gonna ask is how much pushback from the developers were you getting on that, if any, but I think you answered that.
Not a lot of pushback, I'll just say that.
They're used to it, right? Developers, most communities require a letter of credit.
Okay.
It wasn't perfect.
Yeah. I understand.
So,
One thing is just that the inducement resolution is on the next agenda for passage. Usually we wait a week or 2 weeks to put it on, but because the TIF guys are gonna move forward, you guys approve the contract, council approve their contract, mining companies, and so we're just moving that TIF inducement onto the today's meeting.
all right, we'll move on. We're still under the committee of the whole. We're done with our discussion items. Now this is where we go to public comment, not public discussion, public comment for this meeting. Again, if you have another public comment that you'd like to share for our regular scheduled meeting, that's fine. So this is your public comment now in our community of the whole. So Janita, if you would like to approach our public comment.
Oh, my issue subsided and I forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay, perfect.
Alright.
That's not a bad thing.
No, figured you would appreciate that.
So again, we're in public comment. If anybody has anything in public comment, again, if you don't want to talk about it this time, you can wait till our next public comment. Again, public comment for the community of the whole. Anyone? Or once, twice, then we'll move on. Nobody for public comment this time. We're in executive session. Anybody feel the need to go into executive session, having issues, anything to do with employment, appointments, employment compensation, discipline, performance or dismissal of employees? Anything? Okay, nothing for executive session. So do I have a motion to adjourn from community of a whole? I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Commissioner Reading,
Yes.
Commissioner Michael,
Yes.
Commissioner Dixon,
Yes.
Mayor Lyons,
Yes.
we have adjourned.
All right, we will take a 5-minute recess before we begin the next regular schedule.